What's the number one oil painting exercise you should do to be more original? Well, it's copy. Specifically, master copies. So finding an example of a painting that accomplishes all of the kinds of things we want to accomplish in our paintings, and actually going through the rote steps of replicating that on our own. When we talk about master copies, a lot of people assume that we are referring exclusively to old masters and copying things like Renaissance paintings. But the truth is that you can create a master copy from any artist's work. So why exactly is it that master copies are such an effective exercise, especially for artists who want to find their own style and be original? First, copying allows us to directly practice the kinds of techniques that we admire in others. It allows us to copy composition without worrying about confusing, nebulous, or even contradictory rules. It allows us to understand color choices, value compression, and color harmony without needing a graduate level understanding of color theory or concepts like warms versus cools. And if we copy a painting similar in composition to our own original painting, it allows us to see where the artist made very different choices from the ones that we made in our own work. In short, copying allows us to stand on the shoulders of artists who have come before us so that we don't need to waste time reinventing the wheel. But how does this make us original? After all, a common concern I hear is, won't I just become a cheap imitation of another artist if I spend that much time copying their work? In my experience, this is a self-defeating question, or essentially a roadblock that we put in our own way so that we don't have to worry about doing the work itself. Because what if I told you that every incredible, creative painter that you look up to spent time copying? Would you say that it made their artwork derivative or a cheap copy? Do you believe you have a better system of learning than they did? Or, on the flip side, that you need special hand-holding? Probably not. Probably you just want to be told that you can still copy and get all of the advantages and still be you. That you can still make paintings that are in your voice. And you absolutely can. In fact, when you really dig deep into what inspires you, chances are it's not just one artist whose style you gravitate toward. Inevitably, that means you can trust that at the very least, your style is going to be a combination of 3 different artists, at least 2 artists that you're interested in emulating, and yourself. And this combination looks unique time and time again. Take me, for instance. I love Richard Schmid and the Putney painters. I love John Singer Sargent, Joaquin Sorolla, Anders Zorn, as well as painters working today, including Kwang Ho, Carolyn Anderson, David Schiavlino, Jamie Korath, and Rupert Alexander. The more I've learned about these artists, or the more I get the opportunity to actually talk with them about their work and their favorite artists, the more my net of influences expands. And I'm sure you can look at my work and see some of their influences. But at the same time, I'd be willing to bet that you can look at my paintings and tell that I made them. And I'm here to tell you that if it's good enough for me, it's gonna be good enough for you. And the reason I know that is because this is what I do for a living. I help artists to find their unique voice. And we do that by digging deep into their favorite painters, unpacking why they love those particular artists, what it looks like to combine their favorite aspects of their favorite painter's work, and what all this looks like when we inject their unique point of view and their personality into their work. The result is always something unique, and all of these painters have new things to say, original things to say. And what they have found is that having clear influences and studying the work of the painters they look up through considered copying actually helped them to master the techniques that they needed way faster than when they were trying to figure it all out from scratch. And that's why I decided to work on this particular Sargent master copy today. I find that learning from his work on a regular basis helps me to keep my existing skills sharp. Identifying what mistakes I tended to make helped me to create a clearer system for creating my own original paintings, and this whole process opens my eyes to new techniques that I can try. In this Sargent piece, I followed an approach similar to the one of my copy of Sargent's portrait of General Sir John Cowans, which I will link above in case you want to watch that master copy unfold step by step. So I laid down a tonal wash that was meant to mimic Sargent's background as closely as possible without accidentally going so dark that I couldn't lighten it back up if necessary. Then I blocked in key proportions and landmarks such as the hairline, eyeline, bottom of the nose, bottom of the lips, and bottom of the chin and shoulders, and masked in the darks with a transparent oxide brown mixture. This is meant to give me the basics of my darks and lights. From here, I'd make sure that my block-in was as accurate as possible, then proceed with masking in light areas of the flesh tone using color, going from the darkest areas of the portion of the flesh tone in the light all the way to the lightest areas. Now, I tried to keep this to big overall averages so as to avoid little fussy marks or highlights from coming in too early in the painting. So after listening to all of this, you may wonder, alright, so master copies have an advantage, and to do them I could roughly follow these kinds of steps that you adhered to here, Chelsea. But what then? If you're really looking to get the most out of this experience, I find it's helpful to have a really clear priority of what you want to accomplish. For me, in this painting, I had a clear goal in mind. I loved that single dark mark that carves out the left eye socket. It was so bold and it wasn't feathered away or worked into at all, and I loved it. If nothing else, I wanted to have the experience of laying down a mark like that and leaving it. And when I take this back to my own work, my goal to help me to actually be more original would be for me to be able to apply these kinds of marks confidently in my own painting. So going back to the master copy at hand, what this means is that even if in this painting today my drawing isn't perfect or my color is off or the rest of my brushwork is too tight, I just wouldn't worry about it so long as I accomplished the one goal that mattered, which was understanding that one mark. I find this to be really helpful for my students too. It helps to start with an area of the painting that you want to study that you just love, and then figure out what is necessary to bring that into your own painting. So if you look at one of your favorite paintings that you would love to learn from, is the task at hand to simplify the entire anatomy of the eye into just a few brushstrokes? Is it having one brilliant streak of color? Is it figuring out how one area of impasto was created? If you get clear on that priority, build your expectations around that and give yourself permission to ease up in the other areas. That's why sometimes I will finish a master copy before it's perfect. I'll even put it on YouTube in that state, because the point isn't showing you, the viewer, that I can do everything. The point of, any painting that you see me make on this channel is first and foremost to teach myself something. And sometimes the lesson is learned before the painting is perfect. And I really want you to take this in and apply it to your own work. Yes, occasionally we have to make paintings where we just get every detail as spot on as we possibly can. But the pursuit of learning often calls for us to get the key lesson and move on to the next lesson that we want to learn. That is often what actually helps us to learn the fastest. And that's part of how creating things like copies actually helps us to become more original. Because when we're stuck repeating the kind of technical patterns that we've always had in our work, we're going to be kind of stuck in a rut. We only have the one technique that we're kind of okay at, but are really comfortable with. And the result is that all of our work is going to come out looking the same, and we're not going to have the freedom to create variety within our own work. On the flip side, when we master the kinds of techniques that we're drawn to, it essentially expands our own toolkit of how we can paint. Then when we sit down to create our original pieces, suddenly we have a lot of different ways to solve a potential problem. It gives us the toolkit to potentially move the whole painting into an impressionistic high key, deftly simplify the background figures so they no longer distract from the primary subject. It gives us muscle memory as far as how to compose an image that is compelling to the eye and tells the kind of story that you want to tell. So if you're sold on this and you're ready to dive into a master copy and you want to figure out what your primary objective is in completing that painting, I'm going to give you a little bit of a cheat sheet. So I find that it's helpful to simplify the painting that you're studying when possible. If you're more interested in brushwork than color, try doing a monochromatic master copy with titanium white and ivory black as your only two pigments that you put out. It lets you hone your drawing, your value, and your brushwork without having to juggle color as well. Or if you simply want to understand anatomical proportions, you can do a master copy that's just a line drawing in pencil or charcoal. If you aren't sure where to start, or you know you have things to learn in all of these domains, try this. Choose a painting or a detail of a painting that you're drawn to and crop it down to the essential area of interest for you. This, for instance, is a detail of a sergeant portrait. I actually looked far and wide to find the full-size version or even the name, but I found nothing on this particular painting. But it's totally okay that this is just a section of a larger painting, because everything that I want to study is all contained within the face here. Then, if you need to work on your proportions or likeness, just create a master copy focusing on line. Don't worry about value or shading or color. Simply mass in the big simple shapes and focus on putting those shapes in the right place. Once this becomes easy, you can begin to tackle the same kind of copy in paint and introducing values to it. Bonus points if you can begin your value study with just 2 values, one for the lights and one for the darks, before you go in and add those little gradations in between. Once this becomes easy, try the same thing again, but this time focus on the brushwork. Try to reverse engineer the start to finish process of laying down paint on canvas like the original artist would have, and try to match individual brushstrokes. This can take some time, and it can be tough to reverse engineer another artist's process if you don't know much about it to begin with, which is where having a great teacher or mentor can really come in handy, because they can help to distill down the right process into just a couple of simple steps for you to follow along with. That teacher or mentor can also recognize quickly when you're using a technique that might be getting in your way. But one thing to look out for is finding someone to help you who knows how to teach the technique you want to learn, because most artists are only comfortable teaching the way that they personally work, if even that. Once you have the technique down and the brushwork is looking the way you want, you'll probably be itching to get into color. And you can do a color master copy in a number of different ways. You can try something very simple like a thumbnail color study, a gridded color study like the one I made from a Bouguereau painting for this video, or a full color master copy that also has the brushwork that you're looking for, like you see me making in this video. Once you're able to create these, what this tells us is that you're fully capable of laying down the paint like the artist that you look up to. And it's simply a matter of translating these skills to your own original works, which, believe it or not, is a much easier process if you have the right method to get there. If you want to learn more about what that method would look like for you personally based on your goals, I would love to help. What we do is have a one-on-one chat to talk through your goals for your art, lay out the best step-by-step way to get you the skills that you need to accomplish that, and then talk through how to translate that into your original painting ideas, all within the context of working directly with me so that you have support every step of the way. It's how each of my students got the results that you see here, and I would love to help you achieve your own goal so I can include it on this wall of fame. For a free one-on-one conversation with me to get the ball rolling, all you need to do is follow the link down in the description to find out more and to go ahead and book your time to chat with me. I look forward to hearing from you, and until then, happy painting.